Oh, there he is.
Oh, what up there?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm alright.
Yeah?
We're here.
Fucking slaving
We're back.
away.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, motherfucking
It's
Tuesday.
motherfucking Tuesday.
Yeah, and on this glorious Tuesday. Dude,
Yeah.
you know what? Let me tell you about this. This thought that entered. I don't know why I thought about this on the way to the gym, but I was just driving along and thinking that people legitimately go, like they'll actually watch the news,
Yeah.
right? Watch the news, go on, and even worse, go on Facebook and find statistics or information and use that as if it's credible information.
Yeah, if you're getting your news from Facebook, you got a problem right there.
That's problem one. But then you couple that with, even if you're watching MSNBC or CNN.
Everyone has their own spin, too.
Right. Or even if you're reading like some type of journal, not like a journal entry, but like an article where they say, oh, this place conducted a study on something. It's like, okay, cool, but what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, then it's like, who funded the study? What's the study about? Like,
what are their methods?
Right. So, I mean, every piece of information you get, whether it's Facebook or any news, any magazine, whatever it is, right? Like, who funded it? What's the idea behind what point are they trying to get across?
Right. And I don't, it just blows my mind that it's not as bad as if like you're making conversation points at a place you're like, oh, I heard about this happening over across the world. That's pretty crazy. And it starts a discussion. The worst fucking shit is when I see someone post some fucking bullshit article on Facebook or on Twitter, and they'll be like, oh, see what I was trying to say?
Yeah, so it fits their agenda.
And it's like, you probably have no idea where or how that information came about.
People they're ignorant, though. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, and people, the sad thing is that, I mean, everyone thinks that they're right. You know what I mean? So, like, everyone's agenda to them is the right way to be. Right. Everyone else is wrong, and all we do is search out things that fulfill that preconceived idea, right? You don't actively go out and try to find things that are anti what you already believe in.
Well, that'd be too smart.
Well, that would just be fucking smart.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like the the confirmation bias, like you're talking about, and. What made it worse is I had that thought on my way to the gym. And
Did you see something? Did you see someone post something?
Yeah, well, so there's this guy at the gym. Every morning, he sparks up conversation with people about Donald Trump or some type of political discussion. Yeah. Which okay, if that's you're getting off on Donald Trump there? Yeah.
I'd like to. Just kidding.
Yeah, there's if you like politics, that's your thing. Okay, I get it.
There's a place for it, though.
Right. Not me. I don't like to pay attention to that. I don't think you should. I think that you should worry about the here and now, the present, what's in your control.
See, I have something to talk about with that.
Okay. All right. But so this all right. What makes matters worse is that this is an older gentleman, and if you haven't spent any time in the men's locker room at a gym,
don't do it.
Older men tend to let their shit hang low and open and freely, and that's this guy. So
you're having a nude politics conversation,
right? Yeah,
that's the worst kind of conversation I've ever heard of.
Right? The nude. Yeah,
is your dick out at this moment?
Yeah, no,
okay,
no.
Good.
Typically. I'm fully clothed generally,
good.
Or in the process of getting there.
That's the right way to be.
Yeah, this guy is just naked and not even like having a sense of urgency to put clothes on.
They want their clothes off as long as possible.
Yeah, it's I don't.
Why?
Yeah, he will just stand there with his dick and balls in your face and make eye contact with you as he's talking to you about foreign policy and Donald Trump and what should happen and shouldn't happen, and the nudity aside,
that's its own problem.
That's that's its own thing.
Yeah.
Then I think about, okay, why is that even relevant? I get, like, okay, keeping up on current affairs, sure.
Yeah.
Get it. But why the fuck do you give a shit about what Donald Trump says to Kim Jong-il or whoever the fuck he's talking to?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not really much you're going to be able to do about it, or it's not, I don't know, like, there's two sides of it. One side of it is you should totally be into politics because you need to know what's going on because you can change things for the better, I guess.
Right.
And one side of it is we have no say in it. Why do we even bother? I feel like I'm in between, somewhere in between there. And
I think you to me that's where you should be. You should at least know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that.
But it also shouldn't like affect your day so much that you are fully nude. You're talking to some random person in the gym.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And just right. That's where it gets. It's just a little weird, but that's all this guy talks about is politics.
See, well, and I think that's partly too. I think people will use that as the way to carry on a conversation because they don't know what else to do.
Right.
They don't know what else to talk about. But is this person actively searching you out to have this conversation, or
he generally won't talk to me about it's other people, but he talks loudly.
Yeah.
To where everybody knows.
He's older gentleman.
Yep. Yeah.
Wrinkly balls.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Okay, just checking.
They're pretty. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Okay, good.
But but to me, it's all about just focus on the here and now.
And so it's funny that because I randomly before we started talking was thinking about this.
Yeah.
Because of something that happened on the weekend, and it was about the here and now, and more about the like being mindful, which. Yeah. To me, it can mean a couple different things. It can be like mindful of your thoughts, meaning like don't let your thoughts like ruin your day, whether it's like thinking too far into the future or thinking about the past. Or mindful can also be like think about your surroundings, like who's around you. And don't be an asshole.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing that happened to me, like, and it was minor stuff, obviously in the grand scheme of life, but like. I was at a Metro Park, and there's like this overlooking deck thing that you can walk out to, and there's like a lake, and you can walk out there. And so I walk up to it, and like the entrance to where you would walk onto it's all blocked with like this baby's cart and like stroller, all kinds of shit's blocking the entrance, right? So I kind of like just moved to the side, and this is a public, public space.
Yeah.
And I started walking onto this deck, and I look, and they're like doing like a baby photo shoot with like a photographer. Oh. And she looks at me with like the stink eye, right?
Yeah. You fucking bastard.
What the fuck are you doing here? And so in the moment, I just turned around and walked away, and I thought in my head, you're in like a public spot.
Right. You can't expect everybody.
In a Metro Park where there's like literally hundreds of people right now.
Right. Right.
And so later on, like an hour later, I see this same lady. She's got a shitty diaper in her hand.
Oh.
She takes that shitty diaper and throws it into the recycling bin. So there's a garbage can and a recycling bin. The recycling bin's like bright green.
Oh, bitch!
It's got a recycling emblem on it.
Yeah.
Takes that, throws it in the recycling bin. And that just made me think about like the other side of mindfulness, which is like be mindful of your surroundings, of like who's around you.
Yeah.
And don't fucking do that shit.
Right. You know what she needs? She needs a bitch slap from the hand of mindfulness. Yes, a backhand
bitch slap of mindfulness.
Yeah.
Well, and so I mean, I don't know. Like I go back and forth between like getting pissed off at that person.
Yeah.
And saying, can I get pissed off at someone that doesn't even know any better? Like, if you're so aloof and so not mindful of your surroundings, like, is that malicious or is that just she doesn't know any better?
And that's
and so can you get angry at that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because it almost goes into the same argument of were you raised that way or weren't you, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Even if you weren't raised that way, I feel like you should still, I don't know, you should still be coherent enough to like, I'm going to become a better person.
Right.
And part of being that is going to make sure that I, look at who's around me.
Don't throw shitty fucking diapers
in the recycling bin.
What the fuck?
But I don't know.
It's a tough place to draw a hard line.
Right.
Where, it's... Because I feel like it comes down to whether the argument of nature, nurture, and what an element that I think a lot of people forget about is free will.
Right.
And some people believe that we don't have free will. Like that woman, it was just like she was just socialized a certain way to do things a certain way, and everything is predetermined, and that's just what she did, and there's no other possibilities outside of it.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Because you can't necessarily prove or disprove whether or not there's other possibilities outside of that. In your head, you're thinking, yeah, free will exists because I could choose to, slap that old guy for being naked too much, or
slap his dick.
Right? Yeah, avoid the balls and the dick, I can choose to, I forgot where the fuck I was going.
Well, yeah, like, does that person... Can I get pissed off at that person because they don't really have a choice? Like,
yeah,
and I don't think that's true.
No, I don't either.
I feel like anyone can actively work on bettering themselves, whether it's just be fucking nice to people around you.
Right, because you have that choice. That's what it is. Free will. That's right. So it's like I can choose whether to do that, or I can choose not to. So internally, I know that there's possibilities.
Yeah.
But you can't necessarily prove that there is. It's the same thing with the belief, because a lot of people share the common belief that everything is motivated by self-interest.
I feel like that's true.
But the thing is, you can't prove that. You can't prove.
Well, and so what's funny is, like, when I saw all of that, that's exactly what I thought, is that's selfishness. I only care about myself right now. I don't care.
She does, though. She's a fucking bitch. I'm
sorry. Probably was. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of that, a lot of the way that people act is based on that. Based on, in this moment, the only thing I'm concerned with is what I want right now. And I don't really see anybody else around me. So then it's like, can I get pissed off at that? I mean, obviously I don't let shit really bother me, just talking about it, but in that moment it bothers you, though. It did bother me,
because you're kind of like, what the fuck?
Honestly, it definitely bothered me. I thought, that's pretty fucking selfish.
Do you know what the Pareto principle is?
No.
Pareto principle, however you want to pronounce it, but the idea is that in any mode of production or any situation where production takes place, it's I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but basically the top 20%, your top 20 performers are going to do 80% of the work.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then, and that what's crazy is that holds true for any situation. So it's almost like you maybe being a good person or doing the right thing is exactly that, where the amount of good deeds and proper behavior and mindfulness is isolated to 30% of the population. Maybe I don't know. I'm like, that's just a pure.
Don't you just feel like they're just not trying hard enough?
Fuck yeah! Oh yeah! Because it's like it's like any situation where some people are just naturally good at things. Some people are just like athletics, math.
Yeah.
It could be like literally anything.
Those to me, I feel like, are like tangible things that you can like. Although it's funny, I was about to say they're tangible things that you can practice, but really, being mindful of your thoughts or your surroundings is also something that you actually have to practice.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely when it comes to thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, you have to practice that forever for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I guess you actually have to practice your environment just the same.
Right. Because some people are naturally like more agreeable than others, right? So I think that if you are more agreeable, it gives you I don't want to say the benefit of the doubt, but it makes it easier for you to look past other people's faults, because they might throw a shitty diaper in the recycle bin, and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they're just having a bad day, or maybe she just didn't.
That is true.
She wasn't paying attention, and it's
But I thought about that part. She wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, and that could be a legitimate moment, right?
That's
where
true.
she just, but it's very important.
It was coupled with the fact that she also was doing a private baby photo shoot and didn't let anyone walk onto the deck. Yeah, for that. Go ahead.
For that, she's a fucking bitch.
Yeah,
but it's important to, like, the here and now.
Mm.
It's like that concept of if you were to pay attention to the here and now only, you would take those moments and be like, that person is a fucking piece of shit. You like that would culminate your entire opinion of that person.
Well,
right.
And technically, if you're being mindful, that doesn't bother you.
Right. Yeah. It's if you're mindful, you.
But then, what the fuck would we talk about? So.
Right. Yeah. What else would we talk about? Right. If people imagine if everybody was nice and, and like people weren't assholes, we wouldn't have any saggy balls and dicks to talk about. But
it's a pretty boring life, actually.
Yeah, because people being pieces of shit gives you at bare minimum a talking point.
It does.
To say, you know what, I saw this fucking asshole do.
That's right. This
guy was, and you just go off on it. But it's also, I feel like the ability to be mindful, it comes easy to some people.
That's true.
Just like making music.
Right.
Some people just have.
That is true.
Like my brother, my older brother, dude, he can pick up a guitar and just hear something and play by ear and just like he'll hear a jingle on a commercial and just play it, and it's like I can't do that. I gotta practice hard.
That's true. I mean, all of our brains are all different. We're all wired different. We all react differently. We all have different pasts that control, to a certain extent, how we react to things, how we solve problems. So I shouldn't make it so black and white, but overall I do think that being mindful of your thoughts especially can alleviate a lot of suffering and stress in everyone's head if you can practice it. And it takes it's a daily thing. I try to do it every day, but you got to remember. And even when you start drifting off into usually it seems like the future is what causes the most anguish, I think.
Yeah.
It seems like if you think about whenever you're getting pissed off or you're angry or something's getting you depressed or whatever, generally it's probably the future, right?
Yeah, I think the past could.
The past definitely will.
Because let's say, a person that you have to work with or that you're in a relationship with does something wrong, you might stew on that for a long fucking time.
That's true.
And then you couple that with, oh shit, I have ABC thing to do.
Right.
But the future I feel like is it's always there. Stuff's always coming at you.
Yeah.
And the past is easier to forget than the future because it's done
and over with and it's behind you.
Right. Yeah. So, but I think that because the future is in front of you, and to me if I had to say which is more important to focus on, the past or the future, I would say the future is probably more important.
Yeah.
But, people always say don't get hung up on the past. And it's true, you don't want to get hung up on the past, but you definitely want to take your past experiences and be mindful and reflect on that.
And I don't mean being mindful to me doesn't mean forget everything that happened to you in your past and don't learn from it. And that's the thing about being mindful is be mindful, live in right now, but recall things from the past when it's necessary to solve a problem or to not do something shitty to someone, or
right.
But I think also, like, looking into the future too far and worrying about things that you can't control, really. I mean, really, we can't control. Because if you break it down, and people argue, well, you can control it because I can do X, Y, and Z, and that'll control my future. But it really doesn't control the future, because I could do X, Y, and Z thinking that I'm going to control something that happens next week, and I die in a car accident. So, I mean, you really can't control it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like I heard this on, I think it was NPR. I don't remember who the fuck was speaking. It was some dude, right? And he said this, and for whatever reason, it resonated with me, and it made a lot of sense. He said that the universe is absurd.
Yeah.
And you should always keep that thought in your mind, because once you accept that the universe is absurd and that it doesn't make any sense, life doesn't make any sense, you can do your best that you can to prepare for the future, take your past experiences and build on that, right, and exist forward based on your past experiences, and you're just you existing in life. But you always have to remember that you might do A, B, and C things to prepare for the future, but it's not going to work out. And that the universe just, there's not a natural order in the universe. Like, I think a lot of people think that there is. To me, it's a natural disorder, if anything. It's, nothing makes sense. But what you do is you try and focus on the relevant information that you have in front of you
right now,
and make the best possible decisions with that information that you have right in the moment. And anything else is a distraction.
It's true. And, like, to go off that point, like, also don't take life so seriously.
Right.
Because it's really not that serious. I mean, I know, and of course people would argue, like, someone might be going through some shit right now, or divorce or whatever, but really, at the end of the day, even that isn't that serious, because really you're still alive. And like, I mean, honestly, like, it's really that simple. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but, like,
no, I often see, and I think that that's probably because you and I are both, the least, we're very low in volatility.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So we look at people that are high in volatility that experience one setback, and they're like, "Oh my god, my life's over. I'm just a fucking bitch." Like, and then, like, that's what I look at them. I'm like, why are you acting like a little bitch right now?
Yeah.
Like, just, it's like, are you breathing?
Right.
Okay, check.
Right. I mean, and you can always say it could be a lot worse.
Right.
It could be a lot worse. No matter what you're going through, trust me, it could be worse.
Right. And what was funny was whenever I would run into people that were very volatile in the Army,
that's weird.
It makes it more difficult for them.
Hell yeah, it would.
Because things change all the time. Like, it's just like an ever growing thing, and to see them have, like, I remember this one time specifically where I wanted to fucking punch this guy right in his fucking dick hole. Like, I did it because
I'd go for the face, but all right.
But it was a long day.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
It was a long day of training.
Oh, well.
Right. And it's like, hey, you're standing we're standing in formation.
Yeah.
We hadn't eaten for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing this guy. He's like, "Dude, I'm so hungry, and the food here sucks."
Oh,
and
whiny little bastard.
I was like, if this cocksucker doesn't shut his fucking mouth right now, like, dude, it's just like that really bothered me. It's like, dude, you didn't join the fucking Army to eat at 5-star restaurants.
Yeah.
You eat your nourishment.
You're just being mentally weak, really, at that point. You're letting shit like that, like, consume you.
Yeah.
And control, like, I'm hungry. Well, you're not going to eat, so shut up.
Right.
Like,
it's like, we're here.
Right.
And just think about, in probably an hour, you will be in the chow hall eating.
Right.
because we were getting ready to march back and eat.
Yeah.
So he was complaining when we were getting ready to eat. Yeah. It's like, it's not like they were like, all right, we guys are just going to have to go back and go to sleep. It's just like, no, we were en route to get food.
And, I mean, having that reaction and complaining like that does not solve any problems. It does not even help that person. It actually only makes his life shittier at that moment.
Right.
By focusing on something that he can't change.
Right. Because he was kind of a piece of shit soldier anyways, and that just made him look even worse.
Right. He probably didn't last, I imagine. Maybe he did. Maybe he's dead. He was
he's not dead. At least I don't think he is. But he was a fat fuck that couldn't pass his PT test. So
that's why he's hungry.
Right. Oh, he's hungry because he didn't
he's hungry.
Yeah. I mean, he's a fat piece of shit that in the soldier sense. I'm sure he was that was what I knew him as. I mean, as a person, I mean,
did they try to did they work at all on mental shit with you guys in the military?
They did.
It was all physical.
They had
because everyone forgets about the brain.
Yeah, which is pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, because that is your computer.
Yeah, it's actually the most important thing. It's what pushes you through shitty things that you don't want to do, not your body.
Yeah, and so they did have when I was deployed, they had resiliency training. So you did have to. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that it's good to teach people those principles, but the way that they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have done it differently.
Yeah.
Right. I would have done more. Probably more difficult. I would have put people through difficult exercises, like team building exercises, rather than we basically sat around in a room, watched PowerPoints and presentations and stuff like that. So
that's weird.
It was. Again, I like the idea.
At least they're trying. They didn't push you through something physical and then while you're in the suck or feeling like shit, say, surprise, this is a lesson. Now this is how you deal with.
Well, they in basic training they would do that.
Yeah.
But once you got out, no.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times.
I'm surprised. That's one of the most important aspects. Definitely with dealing with physical pain.
I take that back. There were things that we had to do that did suck ballsack.
But did they try to get you through it by saying you should use your mind when it sucks?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. So when we got pepper sprayed, as MPs you have to get sprayed to be certified. That was probably one of the biggest mental tests for me, in terms, because I didn't think the Army was that hard.
Yeah,
really. It was, I expected worse, but and that's just regular Army. As special forces, ranger shit. That's the
Obviously,
real Army.
That's hard.
Yeah, but regular Army is not hard. And when we got pepper sprayed, that was where it's okay, you get sprayed, you got to go through this obstacle course, do all these maneuvers and shit, and then afterwards they take you to the decon station where you can wash your face off. But it only alleviates the pain for as long as you're under the water.
Right.
As long as you're under the water, it's okay.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you get out of that water, it's
right back.
On fire. Your face is on fire.
Wow.
And you see grown men turn into little punk bitches.
Yeah.
There was a guy talking all this shit oh yeah, I've been sprayed 4 times when I was with the Marine Corps and blah blah blah, and it's oh okay, cool man, whatever. And then dude, he gets as soon as he finished the obstacle course, he dropped on all fours and was I need a fucking medic. And dude, it was the biggest it was. I mean, I was in severe pain when I saw that happen, but I was dying laughing when I saw it because it was just he was just talking so much shit, and he look where it got him.
No one works on their mind. I mean, that's the biggest problem. I don't care how physically fit you are or how strong you are. Mm-hmm. If you don't put yourself through suffering, and actually maybe we should make this a whole nother podcast in and of itself, like the suffering aspect.
Oh, I mean, that's what life is.
Life is all about suffering.
It's your existence.
Actually, we should talk about that on the next one. But just in general, right? Like, I don't care how strong you are physically. Definitely do not care, because you just haven't pushed yourself to a point where your mind is the only thing that is going to get you through that.
Right.
I don't care how strong your arm is, because your brain is going to shut off first.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's what's weird is, like, I think about, like, the differences in combat between, you know, like, I was watching a Korean War documentary last night, right? And them talking about, like, the style of fighting, like, back then compared to how it is now.
Right.
It's like, dude, the guys were telling stories about how they were using the rifle as a club to, like, beat someone to death. Because you had to. It's
back then it was more personal.
Yeah, it was like you up close and personal.
Close and personal, right. And war now is more, I mean, obviously, there's still that aspect, but it's more sterile, right?
Yeah.
Because of equipment.
Yeah, I mean, technology's totally changed it. And that, but even when I was in the Army, like, I would think about, like, okay, if it came down to it, who amongst the people that I'm with right now would I feel comfortable with fighting in that type of environment?
Yeah.
And it's like, those numbers are pretty fucking slim. Like, you know, and nobody wants to do that. If you do, you're a raging fucking
you're
psychopath.
Probably a lunatic.
You know, but you know, there's, you know, it's something that I would think about often, because I would look at our living conditions wherever we're at. I'm like, dude, we got it fucking made. We're not sleeping in tents.
Yeah.
We're not digging, like, holes that we have to sleep in sleeping bags. You know, yeah. It's like that, you know, we got it made right now.
Yeah. Can always be worse.
Yeah. And it's like, but, like, again, those numbers were slim.
Yeah,
and it's, especially nowadays, because technology makes our lives easier.
Right.
Right? With that,
basically, we're getting soft.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, yes.
True.
And I think that it's almost like nowadays people are seeking out ways to make themselves suffer.
Yeah, well, there's two people. Oh, maybe we should make this a separate podcast, because I could talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
Because I gotta run it by 5:45.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's make that the next topic.
Okay.
Like the mental toughness, and the suffering, and the fact that there's two types of people. Someone's going to search out discomfort, or someone's going to search out comfort.
Yeah, basically people that are not little bitches, and people that are little fucking bitches. No, like that's, and you know, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable.
Of course not.
But it's
need a little mixed in discomfort, though.
Right. You don't want to be complacent.
Right.
Because, you know, then you end up turning into, I'm so hungry, and
so dramatic, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know what, like, and I've never liked complainers.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
And it's just like there's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
And
most people don't search out discomfort. It's just something that we've lost.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that next time for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll touch on that next time, and if you want, feel free to write in the comments of this fucking video if there's other shit that you want us to talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or you can write into the See You Next Tuesday podcast email address, which is CU, the words, CU, Next Tuesday podcast @gmail.com.
That's right.
See ya, fuckers.
See you.